Welcome to Bringing Dreams and Miracles Together, the podcast where we share inspiring stories of surrogacy, egg donation, and the people who help bring dreams to life and family building possible. My name is Stacy Swiderski, CEO and owner of Family Source Consultants. In this episode, our Senior Program Director, Nikki Renslow, connects with a remarkable six-time egg donor. She shares her personal journeys with us and what she learned from each experience and her best advice for others considering this path. But her generosity didn't stop there. Egg donor 357 also gave the gift of parenthood as a gestational surrogate, and she'll be sharing insights into that experience as well. Tune in as we dive into her story, the impact she's made, and why she chose Family Source Consultants for her journey. You won't want to miss this inspiring conversation. Let's bring dreams and miracles together, one story at a time.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Family Source Consultants podcast. My name is Nikki Renslow. I'm the Director of Surrogacy Relations. I am very excited to introduce you to our guest today. For confidentiality reasons, because we're discussing egg donation, we are going to introduce her as donor 357. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to chat with you today about what had you interested in being an egg donor, your egg donations, and getting a little bit more into that. So if you don't mind, I know that it may be a little different being called donor 357, but thank you again for keeping that confidentiality. Can you tell me what has inspired you to become an egg donor?
Yeah, I feel like there's several answers for that, but the biggest reason for me is honestly my mom. And I'm really glad you asked that question because it does kind of make me reflect back and kind of remember, why did I start this, right? Like what really did start this journey for me? And my mom was my biggest inspiration. She really struggled with infertility issues. She had several miscarriages in between me and my sister. She had endometriosis, she had ovarian cysts, she had to have 16 different surgeries, which is a lot, 16 of them. So I had to see her go through all of that. And so for me, when I first started my egg donation journey, it was just so inspiring to me to just want to help other people that have struggled like my mom. And of course, everyone's story is different, but that was my biggest inspiration is, what? I've seen everything my mom has gone through, and I know that there are so many other people out there that struggle and have a hard time for whatever that reason might be. And it just really made me want to, help other people.
That's amazing. I love hearing. I'm so sorry. How is your mom? That's a lot to go through. Was
Yeah.
she so impressed with you wanting to be an egg donor? Like, oh wow, I love this.
Yeah, she was. I mean, she's actually cried a few times with that. I mean, just because, she knows that she was my inspiration. And so, yeah, it means a lot to her for sure.
That's wonderful. And you've been a surrogate as well, correct?
I have twice.
Wow. So is that kind of the same reasoning for you wanting to be a surrogate too?
It is, yeah. I mean, of course, my egg donations came first. So after my egg donations, I kind of thought of, how else can I help people, right? How else can I continue this and continue to feel, like I can help other people? And so surrogacy really did stem from that as well.
That's wonderful. I love hearing that. I was backwards. I was a surrogate first and then an egg donor second. So I
Okay.
know it's more the norm to be like an egg donor first. So I'm so glad that we're able to, have this conversation and talk about that journey today. Tell me, how many egg donor, journey cycles have you completed?
Yeah, so I've actually done six.
Woo!
Yeah, I did one every year starting in 2014.
Good for you. And I
Yeah.
know that donor journeys can be open, semi-open, or anonymous. Like mine was back in the day, right? So my donations were anonymous, but I do know like how many children and whatnot have come of the donation. So tell me, what kind did you do? Open, semi-open, anonymous, for your donations?
Yeah, so most of them were closed donations, so anonymous. But there were a couple of them that were semi-open. Um, and they were kind of different though. I know that, depending on contracts and things like that and what you agree on, that can look differently. So, for most of them, I wasn't able to know any information after that, but for some of them I was, but the information was limited, like I said, depending on kind of what you agree on with the recipient parents.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I would say about two of them were semi-open. So I was able to get a little bit of information, outcomes from those ones.
That's really neat. Did you ever have any meetings or chat with the recipient parents?
So I did not. I mean, I was open to that, but it just, unfortunately was just never an opportunity that presented itself.
That's wonderful. Well, good for you for doing so many donations. I think
So,
that is fantastic. We know there are so many people in the world who really need those eggs, right, to help create their families and move forward, whether it's with their own IVF or, via surrogacy. So going back and thinking through everything, you've done this, I would say you're probably an expert at this, right? If you had a donor coming to you right now, what would you tell her being a hopeful donor? What advice would you give?
yeah, yeah. No, it's a great question. I think
Hmm.
my biggest advice that I would give is based off of my own experience, right? So I think
Okay.
that what I would say is, to really take your time to really appreciate and just embrace the process, right? I think sometimes the donor journeys can go so quickly that it's just so important to slow down internally, I think, and just kind of really take the time to remember what you're doing and how important each and every step is in the process and in the phase of the egg retrieval. It's easy to get caught up in like the moment of the process, right? So like just what's next? What's next? How do we get through to the retrieval? You're kind of just so focused on, when are we going to get to this point in the journey rather than just really, embracing every step and just remembering, you're doing something for someone else, and making their family building dreams become a reality that just wouldn't be possible without your help, So not even to mention like the work your body is doing, right? Like the amazing
Uh-huh.
science behind everything. So just really taking a moment every now and then, to just really process it and be proud of yourself, what you're doing, the
Mm.
huge impact that you're having on someone else's life and future in general.
I love that, and one thing that I like to say going through it is maybe to be patient, right? Because you're going to go on this database and, intended parents maybe have this idea of what they're looking for, recipient parents, pardon, exactly what they're looking for a donor. So it's not a quick process to where you apply, yes, you get accepted, and then you're chosen, right? It might happen like that, right? But it's okay, we'll be a little bit patient and go through it. I know you're flipped, right? You were a donor first and then a surrogate. I can
I
say
was, yeah.
in my
Mhm.
experience, I was like, wow, this medication went by much faster being on these medications than being a
Yeah.
surrogate, right? How did you kind of feel the difference between the two? I was like, this was so much easier,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, donation
right?
for sure. I mean, the medication goes by a lot faster. I mean,
Hmm.
it's really the whole process is just so quick. I mean, it really is over in a blink of an eye. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, with surrogacy journeys, the medications, you're on them for several months. With donation journeys, you're on them for maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
So it
it was
definitely
like a
goes by
blip.
a lot quicker.
I completely agree. I was like, oh, I understand why people can be donors, up to 6 times. I was
Yeah,
like, this
exactly.
actually wasn't too bad at all.
Yep.
Is there a specific highlight or memory from any of your donations or the process that sticks out to you?
Yeah. I actually would say there's a couple of them, honestly.
Okay.
So I received like a really, really nice card from my recipient parents for one of my journeys. And it's actually funny. It was one of my closed donations, so I wasn't expecting it. But they wrote me a really nice card, and the letter was just like so thoughtful and so thorough. Like the card was filled out all on the inside, all on the back. So the recipient parents, just didn't hold back on expressing their feelings like towards me and the appreciation for what I was doing for them, how much this impacts them and gives them so much hope to have a child, with my help to this day, like the letter just means the world to me because it just truly showed me like just how important the role of being an egg donor is and just like the biggest impact that you have on hopeful parents. So the card and those parents actually are one of the biggest reasons I like wanted to continue doing egg donations
Really?
for that. because it's just a very sweet and genuine reminder of just the good that I'm doing, and the incredibly rewarding experience that it is.
Yeah.
And the second thing too, which kind of piggybacks on that, is just, finding out that a baby girl was born from one of my journeys. And so when you find out that information, it just brings you this overwhelming feeling of happiness and just pure joy, right? Just the incredible feeling that it provides you. So there's really no words to express how much, that means to you to know the efforts you've made to help others have had a positive and successful outcome. So I would say, obviously, those two are just, the biggest highlights for me from doing those journeys.
Oh, I love this so much. The feeling of like learning the first child was born from your donation, you're like, okay, I did it, So
Yeah, you're like,
it's
I did
almost like,
that.
yeah, the whole process comes, full circle at that point in time, which is so amazing. And I love the fact that they sent you a card and it was completely filled out front to back. I mean, it
Yeah,
just shows you the gratitude that recipient parents genuinely have for these donors, right? And how you're helping them create their family that they may not be able to have without you. So thank you so much for giving us that insight. I know that's very personal, but
of
I think
course.
that's
Yeah.
important, to talk about. I think that's absolutely lovely.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, I know you've been a donor, you've been a surrogate. So with all of that, how did your egg donor journey lead into your experience to become a surrogate in your surrogacy journey?
Yeah. So for me, it actually took a little bit to kind of figure that out for myself, if
Okay.
I'm being honest. So, when I completed all my egg donation journeys, I took a little bit of a break. I want to say for maybe a couple of years,
Okay.
to just really give it a lot of thought. I actually had a best friend that was a surrogate during those couple of years, so it kind of put that in my mind. But, to be honest, my very first initial thought was, I don't know if I could do that. Like I was just like,
Really?
I mean, that would be hard, right? To like have a baby that isn't necessarily your own, right? Having to carry it and give birth and, kind of pass it along, right? So for me, I was like, I don't know if that's for me. But honestly, seeing my best friend go through her journey just really changed my mindset a little bit on that because I was actually
Okay.
I was a big part of her journey. So I supported her through her entire journey. I was there when the baby was born, went to go visit her in the hospital, got to meet her intended parents, got to kind of witness just the beautiful interaction between them and how happy they were with their baby. And something turned around for me. There was just
Really? So that
something
was
that
the
just
moment.
really, yeah, there was just something that really changed for me. And I was like, you know what? Like, that would be an incredible thing to do for someone. And just like I said earlier, obviously it stems from my mom wanting to help other
Mhm.
people and things like that. But I think what really drove me to really decide that I was going to become a surrogate was that moment, was watching my best friend and her journey and just really being able to see just the positive impact it had on them, and just their relationship and everything else that went along with it. So that was a huge inspiration for me.
Oh, I love that so much. It's always the best friend that gets us into it, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
exactly.
that was my experience too. That's so funny.
Yeah,
How were your journeys? Do you have a relationship with the intended parents?
I do. We have such a good relationship. I mean, the second journey I did was a sibling journey, so it was for the same intended parent.
Okay.
So we just have a really close relationship. I mean, just from day one, from the day that we matched up until now, we've just bonded and we have a connection, a very unique connection, right? Um, and we, keep in contact, I want to say every couple of weeks. He'll send updates of the babies and we'll just kind of catch up and talk to each other a little bit. But, so we have like a respectful boundary, I would say, just
Okay.
between our lives and what we have going on. But we definitely make an effort, to stay in each other's lives and to update each other and just to kind of check in now and then. But I would say it's healthy and it's good and we get along very well.
That's wonderful. How old are the little ones now?
Oh,
Can you hear
sorry,
me
Nikki.
okay? No,
Yeah,
you're
now I can
fine.
hear you. You kind
Okay,
of froze.
perfect. I'm
Sorry.
so sorry. How old are the little ones now?
Yeah, so the first one, so the oldest is
Okay.
2.5, and the
Oh,
little one just turned 4 months yesterday.
well, look at you. Happy 4-month birthday, little one.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so
I can't believe
wonderful.
it, honestly. Time just flies by.
I know it is wild. I always say I age myself, but I had twins for an amazing international couple in 2013. And to this
Wow.
day, we still have a good relationship and talk. And not as much as we used to, right? Because it has been so long, but always check in, happy birthday notes. And, I'd say it's such a wonderful relationship. Um, you know, with that, what type of advice would you give to mamas who are thinking about maybe becoming a surrogate?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big decision to make. Just like I
Hmm.
said, it took me a little bit of time. And so I think the biggest advice, at least the first piece of advice I would give is definitely give yourself time, right? Like make sure this is right for you. You don't want to get into something you're not ready for, and being a surrogate's a really big thing, and it's very important. And being a surrogate takes a lot of dedication and time, but it's incredibly worth it. Being a surrogate will be one of the most rewarding things you will ever do, if not the most rewarding, and will be just forever something that you're so proud of and that you hold on to. I feel like when you step into the role as a surrogate, you're dedicating yourself to like the responsibility of growing another life, for another
Hmm.
family, which takes a lot of courage and it takes strength to do that, emotionally and mentally. So I think what I would want to say is, just know that you're doing such a beautiful and selfless thing for hopeless parents, or for hopeful parents, I'm sorry. But you're helping to bring their dreams to life, and helping them to achieve their dream of becoming parents. And, throughout the pregnancy, during childbirth, I feel like, at least in my experience, you experience a broad range of emotions, but there's
Oh
nothing
yeah.
quite like the emotions you feel when you see your intended parents hold their baby for the first time. I know for me, I mean, there's literally nothing like it. I mean, you have the baby, you pass them to their parent, and you see them give them their first kiss, you see them hold them close, the pure look of just that love and joy in their eyes while they celebrate their new miracle, and there's just quite literally nothing like it. And nothing will ever bring you so much joy to know that you did that for them and just made it possible, and I can promise you that everything you have done and everything you have gone through it's going to be worth everything you might experience through the journey. And the biggest thing is just knowing that you have changed someone's life for the best, and you've brought life into the world. And I think that's the best part about it too, is not only have you
Hmm.
changed someone's life, but you've brought life into the world, which is just something to celebrate and something that I promise you'll always be proud of.
I love that, right? I think growing up as kids, we're taught, what superheroes are, right? And you may envision, obviously like your huge superheroes that all of us are aware of, or, everyday like first responders or whatnot, right? But I'm just like, surrogacy is such a superhero moment. Helping to create a family, I genuinely can't think of anything better, right? You're dedicating, it could be up to 2 years of your life to help create this miracle and help create this family. And being able to do so and being able to move forward and carry, somebody else's child is such an incredible gift and it's so beautiful. And there's so many intended parents in the entire world who really are needing egg donors and surrogates to help complete their families. And it's beautiful. And the appreciation for surrogates and egg donors alike, like our appreciation is so great, right?
Right, right.
I
Yeah,
know
and
you've
like,
been, oh, go ahead.
no, it's okay. I was just
Yeah,
gonna say, just to tackle on top of what you said too, I mean, it really is a beautiful gift. I mean, and
right.
when you think about it's different when you think about, oh, I can make this kind of difference in someone's life, but when you're actually going through the process and you're actually experiencing what it's like, I
Hmm.
mean, you just know, that you're doing so much good in the world, right? You're doing so much good for these intended parents. You're bringing life into the world. But not only that, but for me, it's like when you have that baby, and like I said, when you see them with their child for the first time, It's so beautiful and it's
Oh
so
yeah.
amazing. And there's almost no words to describe what that's like, just to see them
Right?
finally have the baby in their arms, And I know my intended parent, he had all the emotions, crying, happy, laughing. He was video chatting with his family, like it's a time to celebrate, but it's also a time to reflect back on like, what you've done, and just everything that you did to make that happen.
That's wonderful. I completely agree. Thinking back through the process, going through it, egg donor surrogacy, when it comes to intended parents, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I think the biggest advice I would give, well, first of all, is just how much admiration I have for them. I feel like
Mm.
every intended parent, just endures so much that they,
Yeah.
I don't want to cry. It's just like
No, it's
they
okay.
endure so much and they have their own diverse and unique reason why they seek fertility support from a surrogate or egg donor, and for them, it's not an easy or light decision for them to make. So, it takes a lot of strength, even for them, and patience and courage to go through the process. But, just most of all, the emotional toll it can have on them. Most go through so many heartbreaks or disappointments before turning to an alternative option, such as surrogacy. And so I think I'd want the intended parents to know that, surrogates like myself and even the great team we have here at Family Source, we're here for you, and I think it's important to know that we'll listen to you. We'll take time to understand your story and empathize with all you've had to go through that brought you here. You have so much support and guidance as a surrogate. I can truly say that we're so honored and so excited to help in your family building journey because there's nothing quite like seeing the difference you've made in someone's life and the life that you brought into the world. So just know you're not alone and you're surrounded by so much support and people that want to be here for you through your journey. And one day your hopes and dreams of being parents can become a reality. And, really just wishing you the best of luck, right, in your family building journey and to not give up.
I couldn't have said it any better. I love that
Yeah.
so much. Just to end it, do you have any other, comments, advice, anything that you would like to kind of end with?
Um, I mean, like I said, really just for surrogates and egg donors, like just remember you're doing a beautiful thing. And there are so many people out there that are going to be lucky to build their family because of you, you know.
I couldn't have said it any better. You are amazing. Just think of all the families that you've helped create, whether through egg donation, and surrogacy both. That's such a wonderful and beautiful thing. And I appreciate you joining me today and moving forward and having such a personal conversation because that's what this is and sharing your experience, which this might be what a prospective egg donor or a prospective surrogate kind of needs to hear is that reassurance and advice. So, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. You have a wonderful day. All right.
Bye.
Bye.